Well, thank you so much, folks, for joining us here. I mean, it's the very last session of the conference. We're glad that you chose us instead of next door. And it's a great place to hang out. We're really excited to see a lot of people are excited in getting notification story right. I'm not sure about that guy with the squirrel on his head. He's probably just needing a place to hang out before the party gets started. The rest of you folks, welcome. Really appreciate you to be here.
Yeah, to show how much we appreciate you, we've left a little gift under your seats. Totally kidding, there's nothing. But we are super excited to talk to you about notifications. Arguably, one of the most frustratingly necessary parts of modern life.
That's absolutely right. I mean, some of these notifications, they're done really well, and they're informative, they are actionable, they make me want to click on them. But a lot of notifications actually do not fall under this category. They're a little bit more redundant than helpful. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way as well.
We both work on the notifications platform, and we get just as annoyed with notifications as all of you do, which is what we're here to talk to you about. Hopefully you will leave here with the tools to make a great notification story regardless of your audience.
And that's actually a really important point. I'm sure some of you guys are developing customer or consumer-facing apps and solutions, and you know how important notifications are. You know how important they're going to affect your user engagement. And we just want to stretch the point that for enterprise-facing apps and solutions, notifications matter as well. And it really makes a big difference in terms of productivity of your user and engagement of your user.
Okay, before we get started, I'm Marianne Niskowski.
My name's Lei.
And we're going to take a bit of a pivot for a moment and talk about dating apps. So bear with me. Lei, you use dating apps, right?
Actually, yeah, I do. I mean, I'm on several. Can you help me take a look at my profile?
I'm just looking for an analogy, not a full demo.
Okay, sure.
But there are lots of challenges with dating apps. They can be really tough. For one thing, you have one chance to impress your user, or the person on the other side. If you mess up that first impression, you are donezo, out of the picture, goodbye, right? The second challenge is the fact that you are competing with every other contender to woo that person or to get their attention.
That's a real challenge for me.
These challenges also apply to notifications, which brings us to why you are here. Your user has a limited attention span. Okay, they are on the screen for about 8 hours a day, and that time is split across 2 to 3 apps, maybe 10, or 2 to 3 devices and 8 to 10 apps. That's a lot of other noise that you are fighting against, a lot of other competition that you are competing against. In addition, the user is one right click away from turning off your notifications forever. I mean, there is a chance that they could turn the notifications back on, but it's highly unlikely. Once they're off for good. So you are on one side of the dating app, your user's on the other, and you are trying to land a date. We all know the benefits of notifications. They encourage user engagement. They allow you to be productive, or your users to be productive and accomplish small tasks. And they also help with retention. But we also know that it can be challenging as a developer, to know exactly what is effective for your user, and challenging to develop notifications that work and have visibility into what is working. Which brings us to why we are here.
So we're really just here to help you. Our goal is that you walk out from this room and you feel like you have the right tools and the mechanisms for you to create an overall great notification story, no matter who your customers are.
So what are we talking about today? We'll be going over a couple case studies and examples of companies and apps that do a great job of sending notifications. We'll also talk about a new announcement, notification dashboard. We'll give you more insight into what's happening with your notifications. Thirdly, we'll go over some dating tips and tricks, which is really just UX guidance. A couple of you got disappointed back there. And then lastly, we have MS Graph notifications, Microsoft Graph notifications, which is a new feature announcement. All right, case study time. So a lot of you probably have heard of Feedback Hub. They do a great job of gathering user input from customers like all of you and giving it back to Windows so we can stay as user-centric as possible and get a lot of feedback on what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, things like that. One of the ways they get this feedback is by sending notifications. You can see on the screen is an example of the notification and the survey that goes along with it. Now, because these signals are so vital to Windows as a product, they were looking for ways that they could increase this customer signal and increase the amount of surveys they were getting completed. One of the ways they thought they could do this is by experimenting with notifications. So they did 3 different experiments. The first one was changing the wording of the notification to make it reflect the user's context better. So previously, the notification didn't match the context or the frequency of which users were updating their machines. Just by changing the wording so that it feels like the notification actually applies to the user, they saw a 2 times increase in response rate.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. The second experiment they did was making the notifications personalized. So here in this example, the notification seems as though it's coming from a Microsoft engineer, and they are personally inviting the user to fill out a survey or answer a question. Instead of feeling blasted by a generic notification, this gives the user kind of a sense of purpose, almost, to fill out that survey. And this had an even better response rate of 4 times increase. It's also pretty good. Mm-hmm. The last experiment was by far the most effective, and this was actionable notifications. If you remember the old flow, the user would see a notification come in, click on the notification, the app would open up, the user would fill out the survey, close the app, and then get back to whatever task they were filling out. With the new actionable notifications, the user is able to see the toast come in and act on it right away. Decreasing that time to action was super powerful and even had a 5 times increase in response rate.
5 times? Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Okay, that data doesn't really surprise me. We did rehearse, but I'm just really impressed every time I see that.
And the best part is this is super easy and available for you to do today. So 5 times increase just by implementing actionable notifications, pretty powerful concept. Another company that also uses actionable notifications is Sappho. And we have Omar in the audience right here. If you have questions about Sappho or want to learn more later, feel free to reach out to him. But Sappho is this really great company where they take all of these different back-end systems of records for enterprises and standardize them so it's easier for enterprise administrators to manage these, and also creates a better experience for the end users. One of the ways they enable that better experience for users and enterprise admins is by enabling push notifications. An example of the notification is here. So this is an expense report from Concur that needs to be approved. This notification has actions on it, so the manager or whoever needs to approve this report can approve or send back directly from that toast. If the user clicks on the body of the notification, it'll open up the micro app from Sappho. And I think it's really important to point out here that the actions available within the micro app and on the toast are both the same thing. So we saw this with Feedback Hub, but actions that are repetitive or that you're training your user to accomplish fit really well inside toast notifications and tend to be super effective. So we've seen also on our side a lot of other apps that do the same practice, and we think this is a great practice for you all to strive for in your both consumer and enterprise applications. Another thing that Sappho really does well is taking into account the user context. So they provide a lot of feedback in the form of data to their enterprise administrators, so they can see what is most effective, what notifications are hitting home, which ones are being ignored, that type of thing. Always keeping in mind the user's context and what is effective for the users is super important, and they do a great job of that. Their notifications are super effective, and there are 4 specific examples. We're just going to talk about one. You can go back and look through the slides later, but I just think this one's so cool. So Johnson & Johnson has decreased their time to approve expense reports from days to just hours. I mean, how many of you still have expense reports needing to be approved? Yeah,
I do.
I do. We all do. Okay? I mean, that is awesome. That decreased time to action is exemplified here in how effective having actionable notifications can be, and how it can apply both to consumer apps and enterprise to streamline that business process. We've seen how notifications can be really important, and we've also seen how experimenting and taking into account user context can be super important as well. And we want to enable all of you to be able to do the same exact thing, which is why we're happy to announce the Notification Analytics Dashboard. Let me pull up a demo real quick. OK. So this is a new dashboard that we've put up in Dev Center. This is data coming directly from our Windows telemetry that we're piping back to you developers. The idea, since we've received a lot of feedback over the years that there's not enough visibility into what happens to your notification, there's not really a good sense of what the user is doing to notifications. So we took that, and we're trying to take a step to bridge that gap and provide this data for all of you. Now, this is a per app view. So on the right side here, you can see I can filter by other apps for those of you that have multiple. And there are 4 main metrics, and those are split up by the different life cycle points of a notification. So if we remember, a toast notification is what pops up in the bottom right corner of the screen. Once that decays or fades back into Action Center, we call that Action Center notification. So there are metrics for both of these points in the notification lifecycle. There are also two types of metrics here. CTR, which is click-through rate. This is industry standard, but it's the number of positive interactions out of the number of notifications that were shown to a user. And this metric you can filter by map view or table view. And we really want you to use this as a general indication as to how your notifications are doing. It's not as actionable on its own. It's just more of a litmus test of, am I doing better or worse than I was 6 months ago? In order to really get some more granular data or to get some actionable feedback, we have these user action metrics on the left. And so here we can see information around what happened to your notification. Was it dismissed? Did it time out? Was it activated by the user or canceled by your app or the system maybe? So our goal is to help give you that visibility, what is happening to your notifications on Windows. This is all dummy data, by the way, so the developer didn't just give up on May 7th on sending notifications. We have a couple different ideas. We're in the middle of planning for V2 right now, things around maybe metrics for notification settings or campaign tracking. So please give us your feedback. We're really wanting to make this as useful and effective for you as we can. You can give feedback directly in the dashboard tool or reaching out to Lei or myself. Switch back. I mentioned feedback already, because it's super important, I'll say it again. Please give us feedback. This is all for you, and we want to make sure this is useful for you. The biggest point we want to make, though, is notifications are a very customizable and user-centric and scenario-based experience, and we really want to enable you to experiment and validate your decisions and measure your success. So hopefully this tool will help you do all of that. All this data comes from Windows telemetry. And we've done a lot of analysis on this telemetry ourselves. And we've kind of come up with 4 main rules that help make a great notification story. The first one, I bet you can guess, because I've said it 2 or 3 times already, is actionable notifications. Actionable is productive. Okay, we saw the example with Feedback Hub having a 5 times increase in survey response rates. We also saw Sappho having a decrease in that time to action for the expense reports. There's nothing better than the feeling of being productive and accomplishing something. I mean, I write down small tasks on my to-do list just so I can cross them off. That feeling of being productive is a universally positive experience and something that all of you can enable your users to feel. And it's not just a feeling. You can actually enable them to get things done and actually accomplish tasks, too. The best part about it, I think, is that it's so easy to do. These 2 lines of code enable you to put buttons in your Toast payload. There's a little extra work around setting up background tasks or handling those actions, but I'm sure a lot of you already have that infrastructure in place. If not, you can always reach out to us for help or questions, and we have documentation. But it's a super easy way to get a huge impact and a huge increase in productivity from your users just by adding actions to your notifications. Okay. The second point that we want to talk about is timing. Timing is everything. It's called real-time communication, but it doesn't mean that it actually has to be real-time.
I think you've got a notification there, Maria. It's not really so important. Add.
Oh no. It's a silly example, but it gets the point across. I don't always want to be interrupted as a user. There's a time to receive notifications, and there's a time where you don't want to receive notifications. We really encourage you all to think whether your notifications are urgent or not. And we enable a couple of ways for you to kind of consider this or handle sending less intrusive notifications. The first one is raw notifications. So through this, you can wake up your app in the background and just with a shoulder tap, kind of analyze the situation. So if you think that this notification coming in is super urgent, by all means, send it out. You can fire a local toast from there, and it will be popped immediately. However, if you think that this could probably wait for a later time, you can schedule a scheduled toast to be fired at a later time. The second way we enable you to send less intrusive notifications is by sending a ghost toast. So by setting the suppress pop-up property, you say that 5 times fast, you can send a notification directly to Action Center. This won't pop up in the bottom right screen, but it will be there when the user opens up Action Center. And I know there's some skepticism whether that's still effective as a notification. And from our Windows data, we see a 2 to 3 times increase in engagement when a notification is in Action Center versus popped up. When the user has control and can go find the notification when they're ready to be interrupted or ready to take a break, then there's a lot more responsiveness and a lot happier experience looking at notifications versus when they're being interrupted relentlessly and have no control over when that interruption is occurring. So think about whether your notification is truly urgent and time it appropriately. The third point I want to talk about peeves me so much, and so please, if you get one thing from today, listen to this point. Clear out the clutter. Okay, bear with me for a minute. Action Center is your user's real estate, and this is not a place for you to just dump garbage. You need to manage this space respectfully and make sure you are clearing out irrelevant notifications. Things that don't pertain to the user anymore, get rid of them. It is taking up space and wasting their screen space. We have a series of APIs that are available today for you to use. Right now, if you're not using them, please use them. I'm begging you. Toast notification history allows you to see what notifications you have available and also clear subsets, groups, or just all of your notifications. So respect the user's screen space and take care so that only your relevant notifications are persistent in there. The final point, keeping things organized. So on Windows specifically, we have a series of APIs that enable you to group notifications so the user can easily pick out the information they are looking for. An example I have here is a sports app. So you can see I have women's basketball on the top and baseball on the bottom. As a user, I can quickly see how the Sparks are doing or if the Mariners won their game the other day. Pretty useful. It's also important to notice that they're chunked out as if they are separate apps. We have a second way to organize notifications, which is a little more subtle. So they'll be grouped under grouped under what looks like the same app, but they have a subgrouping, which is more subtle, but also still organized. So your notifications be categorized in a more subtle way. All of these APIs, especially the Toast notification history one, are available for you to use today. In fact, if you want to just use the rest of this time to update your notification story, please do that.
Well, please don't.
And there's one other point, is that we are super confident that all of this guidance is applicable regardless of the platform. So all of these points will make your notification story great, regardless if it's on iOS, Android, Windows. But please focus on Windows. And I think, oh yeah, and I also mentioned that all of these APIs are available for you to take advantage of today. Okay, so this came from Windows data, and we're really confident in it. So let's say you followed all this guidance. You've created this beautiful notification, and you're sending it out and getting great, great success measures, and you're checking your CTR, and everything's looking great. But let's say your user Lei, for example, has a PC and an iPhone. And he's a busy guy. He's running around to meetings all day, and he gets a notification on his iPhone that says, please approve this expense report. So he approves it, handles it, great. Moves on with his day. A few hours later, he logs into his PC, sitting at his desk, and opens up Action Center. And he sees that same notification sitting in Action Center. That beautiful notification you spent time crafting is no longer beautiful that second time around. And as a user, it's a really strange experience for there to be no coherence across your devices. So this kind of paints a new problem, a new dimension of problems with notifications. How do we handle notifications in a multi-device world? Lei is going to solve that problem for us.
Well, thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you for speaking of me as someone who's able to approve somebody else's expense report. But especially thank you for giving us all the great guidance. And it's a great problem that you raised, actually. Well, I know that once upon a time, we probably only had to ever deal with one device, maximum two, maybe, a phone and a PC. And nowadays, just having a phone and a PC even felt pretty yesterday, right? Like, for example, me, I have all these kind of devices I deal with on a daily basis.
Are you talking about a Surface Hub in your living room?
I mean, that Surface Hub is really just for illustration purposes. But you get the idea. Once you're making your application available to your user everywhere, and that could mean this whole spectrum of different devices. And at that time, this could be one of your users who's actually trying to deal with your app on all these different devices. This definitely creates a great opportunity for you because the whole multi-device world and device connectivities really enable you to do a lot of new scenarios to enable your users to be more powerful and more productive in general. But this also introduces challenges, especially so in the notification namespace, because it's really hard for you to introduce a consistent and coherent notification story across all different devices. You have to kind of manage your data in a centralized way. You have to deal with the fact that the devices are not really aware of each other. Well, let's just say that you've made your app available everywhere. And you try to notify me as a user something important. And we can even simplify the scenario to say we're only focusing on the sort of the most common cases, where I have a PC, I have an iPhone, and I have some sort of Android tablet. And the painful experience you have to go through today is that you have to send a notification all separately through all these push services that's corresponding to each device. There's APNS for iOS, WNS for Windows, GCM or FCM for Android. It's crazy just to deal with all these acronyms, not to even mention the amount of detail you have to kind of sort out and figure out for each of these platform-specific push services.
I'm just going to call this out because I'm sure a lot of you all are thinking of it, but aren't there already cross-platform solutions that exist today?
Well, you're absolutely right, Marianne. So there's definitely a few third-party notification services that supports cross-platform capability. And what they do is they usually give you a unified set of APIs, so you don't have to deal with platform-specific APIs, which is really good. It helps a lot. But we think the core problem here is that the devices are still not really aware of each other, and they're not aware of the user. So something as simple as when one notification is handled by me on one device, and you want to make sure that notification is dismissed everywhere else, could be still complicated because your app server is still taking a whole lot of that heavy lifting to make sure things are always in sync across devices. However, though, if you don't do this right for your user, this could result in a really painful notification experience across multiple devices. So this is really the core problem that we recognized. In summary, really good notification scenarios, they're always designed around a user. However, though, the existing functionalities of all these existing frameworks forces you to implement it in a way that's device-centric. So, well, can we do this better? Can we do this better to make you as a developer's life easier? We'll take a step back and just lay out a fact that there is already a Microsoft, we can call it a platform, that's very centralized around user. I'm sure you've probably heard of the term 1,000 times, which is Microsoft Graph. Microsoft Graph is really all about the user. We say Microsoft Graph is the fabric of all your users' data, which doesn't really mean anything. But if we look at this from a different view, all these devices that I own, plus additional UI interaction surfaces like cars, like bots, like sensors, they together form this is what we call intelligent edge, an edge of devices. In addition to that, there's different data and services that we hosted around the user that's really forming what we call this intelligent cloud. And what MS Graph API endpoint, what they provide really is a set of REST APIs for you to be able to access all these data and services in the cloud and all these device capabilities in the client, and then really connecting the edge and the cloud together to give you additional capabilities so that you can enable new scenarios. So remember what we just said. We have a strong desire to introduce a user-centric notification solution that can really bring down a lot of this cross-platform and cross-device complexity to our platform layer, so you don't have to worry about that. So wouldn't that be pretty sweet if we have a notification solution on MS Graph that's completely user-centric, and just by being so, not only we can provide convenience, but also additional functional capabilities. Well, we're happy to introduce Microsoft Graph Notifications. What Microsoft Graph Notification is it's a user-centric notification solution that allows you to only focus on targeting a user when you're sending that notification. And then we'll help you fan out that notification to multiple devices belonging to the same user, and also manage that notification in a centralized way. And MS Graph Notifications consists of MS Graph API endpoint from the server side to allow you to post notifications, and also Project Roam Activity SDKs to allow you to receive notification from client side across different platforms, including iOS, Android, and Windows. Let's take a look at how it works. So now Marianne is going to switch to the demo mode. And what you're seeing here really is the same demo app that we've wrote for all three platforms. My PC, that's a UWP app right there, and iOS on my iPhone, and an Android device. And Marianne has just signed into her MSA account on all three different devices. And she's done the right setup, so now she's ready to really receive a user-centric notification on all three devices. What Marianne is going to do is go navigate into that PC app, and that PC app is acting like an app server right now. It's trying to post a notification. Okay. And when she clicks on send, that same notification will show up everywhere, including PC. Obviously, right now, we're in Focus Assistant, so that PC notification just silently went into Action Center. Thank you. I know that a lot of those guys down there is trying to look at me with confusing eyes, like, I thought like I can do something like this today already. Well, the key point is you're really just sending one single HTTP post request that's targeting one user account, and we're helping you fan out this notification to all devices. And we'll show you how simple it is for you to achieve something like this with 30-ish lines of code. Switch back real quick. Just to mention that we're going to show a few steps here. First is for you to set up on the app client side to be able to receive user-centric notifications. And then we'll send you what that post request looks like from app server for you to send a notification targeting a user. And then how you will be able to handle that received notification on the client side in a really simple way. Then we'll switch that back. Oh, actually, a step before that, I just want to mention that, well, this is based on, just like any other MS Graph APIs, this is based off and centralized around a user account. And by that, we mean that's an MSA or AAD user account. If you guys has already had experience with MSA or AAD, you know that you have to implement this user account provider, which helps with login and also make sure that you always have a refreshed OAuth token for that user. What's the good news here is in the sample app that we're going to publish, we'll give you a sample version of that account provider, so you can just kind of copy and paste the code from there and don't have to worry about implementing that. And that's going to take care of making sure the login UI is set up correctly and you can handle the login completion status and all that. And by the way, that's not really counted into the 30-ish lines of code that I sent you. Well, so first of all, let's talk about setup the platform to get ready. Because like I mentioned, on the client side, you're expected to integrate with Project Roam Activity SDK to be able to receive user notifications. So there's 2 mini steps for that setup to complete. Project Roam SDK is really an SDK that deals with a lot of different cross-platform and cross-device connectivity scenarios. In general, there's different scenarios you can enable with it. So what we're doing right here is to turn on the big switch to start the platform that handles receiving and storing all types of different activities that enables different scenarios beyond a user notifications. For example, Cloud Clipboard and, for example, user activities on timeline, which is just this line of code right here. And then for user notifications specifically, all you have to do with these few lines of code right here is to declare the fact that you wanted to receive user notification as a type of activity, and then just instantiate a user notification channel, which is going to be the thing that's going to handle all the incoming notifications from that point. And then let's take a look at what it looks like to publish a user activity. Really, the 15-ish of lines here that's being showed is how you would post a single HTTP request to the MS Graph endpoint. Well, some of you probably noticed that the endpoint right now is not really on MS Graph. That's something we're working on right now to migrate so that at the time of launch, at the time this is going to be available in this summer, we're going to have the server-side API being exposed through MS Graph. The idea is really for you to see the level of complexity. Really, all you have to do is to construct this post request. There's some headers that you have to define for that HTTP request. There's some additional properties. One thing I want you guys to focus on is the content here. This content is the notification content you're going to send to all different device endpoints that belongs to the same user. The idea is that you can send arbitrary content just like how you would send a raw notification for Windows, for example, or how you would send a data message for GCM for Android devices. We allow you to send a piece of message down to the client so your app client can wake up and then choose to do whatever it wants with this piece of data. In the case of our demo app, what we did is to post a visual notification that's corresponding to the content that Marianne entered. So if we take a look at the other side of the coin, which is the receiving end, because the notification will have to go through the push notification service of the corresponding platform. For example, it needs to go through GCM and FCM for Android devices, and it needs to go through APNS for iOS devices. So how it works from a high level is when you publish that notification to MS Graph notification, and we'll store that notification content in the cloud, and we'll construct a shoulder tab that's corresponding to that notification to notify about these app clients that you have something. And then you will talk to our SDK to retrieve the actual notification content. So right here is really showing that once you get that GCM notification shoulder tab, you just have to call into our SDK to say, you've received this notification. We're going to help you to determine which type of activity it is, corresponding to different features on Project Roam SDK. And then we're going to start fetching that actual notification content from the cloud. And then what you're seeing here is all you have to do is to implement this data change listener on that user notification channel so that you will be notified when the actual notification content is fetched by the SDK. And then right here, you see that the app really can just do whatever you want to handle the notification content from that point. So you've seen how easy it is for you to send a notification targeting a user to MS Graph and how we can fan out that everywhere, which is good because you want to make your application available everywhere. You obviously want to be capable of sending your notification everywhere to achieve maximum outreach. But this doesn't really solve the problem that we mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, which is the fact that if I handled a notification on one device, I kind of expect it to be synced and to go away on all the other devices. So let's see a demo of how that looks like. What Marianne is going to do is she's going to show all the 3 devices and launch Action Center on Windows and the notification tray in Android to show the previously generated notifications everywhere. Oh, sweet. She's going to pop a new notification.
Why not?
And once this notification shows up everywhere, what Marianne is going to do
Pull that up so you can all see it.
is to, oh, maybe you want to launch that Action Center again because that'll just go back
They
after
don't
you
need to
click
see
on
it, it's
anything
fine.
else. If Marianne clicks on that iOS notification, watch carefully. The same notification is dismissed everywhere almost instantly. Thank you.
You should see it one more time. 'Cause it's,
Yeah, let's see it one more time in case if folks has missed it.
I know. Please calm down, folks. Like,
Woo. Sweet. So really, again, you probably look at me, this could be something technically that can be done by myself, but imagine the amount of work that you have to do. Imagine the amount of heavy lifting you have to do inside your app server layer to keep everything in sync. Instead, with MS Graph notifications, with just a few lines of code, to be exact, 3 lines of code, you can achieve something like this, like universal dismiss. And let's see what it looks like. So what we're doing in the back, behind the scene, is that even after that notification gets delivered to the client, we help you persist the actual notification content in the cloud. And by doing so, we allow you to easily manage the state of the notification in a centralized way. As you can see in these 3 lines of code right here, all we're doing is on the device where this notification is being handled by the user, you just go back to the same notification that's in the centralized cloud and call set read state and mark it from unread to read. And then the state change will automatically get updated to all the rest of the device endpoints belonging to the same user, so that when all the other users being notified, when all the other app clients being notified, they can use the same way as how they handle an incoming new notification to handle this update of notification. And from that point, you just call the OS-specific local APIs to dismiss the corresponding notification on those devices. It's really that simple.
talk about clearing out the clutter. Okay.
OK. Let's switch back to the slides. So there. You just saw the first demo of MS Graph notifications. It's pretty simplified, pretty sweet. And like I mentioned, it's just like the rest of MS Graph APIs. It's very centralized around user accounts, MSA or AAD user accounts. We choose to support AAD, which is Azure Active Directory, because we want to make sure we enable you to build a great notification story for enterprise-focused apps and services. We also support MSA, which is our consumer-facing user account. And if you have consumer-facing scenarios, and if you currently leverage MSA accounts or O365 subscriptions, this is something that you can use as well. Well, speaking of AAD, I really just wanted to talk about enterprise compliance for a second. And like my boss sitting in the front always says, compliance is a beautiful thing indeed. With his British accent, I don't know why British accent makes everything sound a lot more convincing. But in fact, compliance is definitely a beautiful thing. It helps protect the data privacy of your users. If you are an enterprise developer who target users who are Europe residents, you would probably saw news headlines all over the place already about GDPR, which is General Data Protection Regulation, because its enforcement date is right around the corner. Well, some of you may not be familiar with GDPR. Keep in mind that if you sell apps and services to users in Europe, no matter where your company is located, you're always going to be impacted. So you wanted to get it right. It's definitely a big test for your apps. So some of you might be asking, like, why are you talking about this? Why does this matter with notifications? Well, because notifications, especially the well-designed ones, they tend to be customized and very personalized. They would potentially contain a lot of user-specific data, or something that we would classify as PII, personal identifiable data. And that makes notifications definitely subject to meet all different types of enterprise compliance regulations and requirements. And let's take GDPR as an example. We've worked with our engineering team has worked with the privacy team closely to make sure that MS Graph notifications is GDPR compliant at launch. And we also meet a bunch of other different compliance regulations. So we can help you to enable you to build an enterprise compliant notification solution based on who you want to target. Well, Microsoft is really committed to help our customers meet their compliance requirements. And we all know there's different types of compliance. There's government-specific ones. There's industry-specific compliance requirements. There's regional-specific compliance requirements. And we want to hear feedback from you on how we should build our future roadmap to make sure we can help you target the right audience and the right users that you want to target the most. And one more important point I want to stretch here is that MS Graph notifications, the infrastructure that we build our service upon, is designed to meet the very high data handling standard of our own Office 365 apps and services. In fact, we're working with Office team as of right now to have them onboard all their notification scenarios onto MS Graph notifications. So that's huge.
That's super huge. Office has really high standards in terms of privacy and compliance, and it just shows how important your privacy and your compliance is to us, both as Microsoft in general and as Microsoft Graph notifications. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how do we achieve this compliance? I mean, at some point, notification traffic is bound to travel through other services that might not meet the same compliance standards. Well, I mean, Lei, can you answer a question? If I'm sending a notification to an iOS device, it would still have to travel at some point through APNS, correct?
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's a great question. It's almost like we set up these questions.
I'm full of great questions.
So let me take a step back and explain at a high level how graph notification works. And I think I kind of gave that away when I was explaining the demo. But this is really different from a fire and forget type of notification framework. And in our way, you see how it achieves compliance and also enables much more from there. So if we look at this diagram, when your app server is trying to post a notification to a user, to our API endpoint in the cloud, what we're going to do is we'll store your notification in the cloud, actual content, and we'll construct a shoulder tab. The shoulder tab doesn't contain any app-specific data or user-specific data that you posted. It's really just an empty payload that gets sent through our transport layer down to all the application clients belonging to the same user. Our transport layer knows how to natively talk to, for example, APNS, FCM that's corresponding to cross-platforms. And once the app client receives this notification, it just talks back to the client SDK, which then fetches the actual content from the cloud. In this way, we make sure that your own data doesn't flow through anything that's outside of Microsoft Enterprise Compliance boundary. For example, if we make sure that your data never flows through APNS, which is something that we're not sure whether it's compliant or not compliant for specific compliance regulations that we know that we can meet. This is basically how we achieve enterprise compliance. And because we have this store and forward infrastructure versus a fire and forget type of notification system, in addition to achieving compliance, we also enable a few additional functionalities. One of them is something we call optional fallback. So let me give you an example of that. Optional fallbacks is really for us to help you deal with different platform uncertainties when you have to deal with some unreliabilities when you have to send notifications in cross-platform manner. If you've worked with iOS push before, you probably know that iOS is really aggressive when it comes to suppressing their silent data notifications. They only deliver it when it determines the device is energy sufficient. In graph notifications, we have this small feature called guaranteed delivery that specifically deals with these platform uncertainties. In the initial push request, we allow you to send a visual notification along with the data notification, and then upon detecting a failure based on the timeout when we try to send that data notification down, we'll automatically help you to send that visual notification to the OS. So you don't have to worry about whether the app wakes up or not. And you can still notify the user if this is something that's really important for them to see. In addition to that, we also have something that's called email fallback. Oops, the animation going through. We also have something that's called email fallback, which is really just as straightforward as it sounds. We allow you to send a fallback email if we detect that the mobile push notifications don't get to the platforms. There is another additional capabilities that we support. Really, it is based off how this infrastructure is built. It's notification history. Because we help you store notifications in the cloud in a persistent way, and we do that, so if you remember the demo we saw, you can mark notification as read or as dismissed. But even after you mark certain notification as dismissed, we'll still persist the notification in the cloud until you explicitly delete them, which means you can have this as a sort of serves as a notification view model, so you can always access notification history if you have those types of scenarios that you need to show this to a user. We keep notification in the cloud for optionally up to 30 days. And let's see a demo for how that looks like. So what Marianne is going to do is that she's going to pop another notification, again, on the UWP app. Shows up everywhere. And now she's going into the History tab on one of these devices and go fetch all the history. As you can see, all the notifications that we previously sent are showing up there. And it's actually really powerful for some enterprise scenarios where you need to keep a history of notifications for a certain time and figure out the state of these notifications. The visual treatment is really just based on whatever you want it to do. What we decided to do here is we just mark stuff as gray out when this notification is red. And as you can see, the latest notification up there is not red, so it's just showing up like that. And let's take a look at how easy it is for you to access notification history data. Oops. Hide that for now. Oops. Inside right here, so what you have to do is to instantiate this notification reader that's hang off the user notification channel. And then you can read all the existing notifications per batch and handle them on a per batch basis. The key point is to just create the reader and then start reading, calling reading batch async. It's really simple. Let's switch back to the slides. So there, you saw all the basic functionalities and different capabilities that's going to be available at launch for Microsoft Graph notifications. And this is going to be available in 1 or 2 months, sometimes in this summer. And after launch, obviously, we're thinking ahead of time to figure out what we should do next. There's a lot of different things. We wanted to make sure that we can make notifications available everywhere so that different platform support, different platform availability is definitely top priority. But in addition to that, we wanted to hear your feedback on what kind of work we should prioritize.
I mean, as long as rich telemetry and data dashboard are up there, I think we're probably good.
Of course.
Just kidding. So we're nearing the end here. Recapping what we talked about, obviously some dating skills, just UX guidance, all of which are available for you to do today. And it's important to remember that the guidance is just that, is guidance. So nothing can substitute you learning from data and experimenting on your own and making and validating your own business decisions, which is where the notification dashboard comes in handy, which was also announced and available today. And finally, we went over Microsoft Graph notifications, which will be available this summer. Thank all of you for, one, helping for those of you who helped out, but also all of you for being here. I know it's the last session, but this is why we do it. And if you have any questions or feedback, or you just want to talk about notifications or design, come reach out to us. We are here with open ears.
There's definitely a few related sessions that we recommend you to go to. I know that this is technically the last session already. Please go back and revisit the video, which is going to be posted on Channel 9. And there's overview around MS Graph, which is going to be super useful. There's also pre-recording session and live session talking about MS Graph activities in general and other sort of scenarios you can enable by using a Project Rome SDK. And also adaptive card from one of our teammates who's the driving force behind Adaptive Card, which is something that you can use to host card-like UI across different platforms, also inside your own app. We also have a booth at the hub, which obviously, if you haven't had a chance to go to that one, it's too late right now, but feel free to come back next year. We'll still be around.
And fill out feedback. We really read it and use it, so it'll make us better for next year.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. We'll take questions now. Don't all line up at once. Just kidding.
This is the last session, so any questions you have?
So related to the history there, is there like a REST call you can make to delete an individual notification from the history? So if the user wanted to, say, remove something that was from 7 days ago, but still keep the one from 30 days ago, they could?
Yes. So the time, how it works is you are really able to set a custom expiration time on these notifications. By default, it's 7 days. And then you can set it to be up to 30 days. And then there's going to be REST API calls and also client-side SDK APIs exposed for you to delete explicit notifications from that. Thank you.
Are there any additional changes you have to make on the iOS or Android so that when you dismiss it from there, it actually communicates back, or is it all just supported auto-magically?
So it's auto-magic in a way that that raw notification you posted initially, you will get a notify on all device endpoints when you mark it as, let's say, read or dismissed on one of these device endpoints. And then you still have to kind of listen to this change and then call the corresponding OS API to delete the actual visual notification.
So like if say user A has just like a brand new machine with nothing really installed, but somebody else shares something with them, since the notifications are with the user, then they would still receive them before having installed anything, kind of thing?
This specific capabilities we're talking about today, as of how it's worked today, it requires your app to register from that device with that same user being logged in. And there's nothing to announce. Would you like that to happen?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think like if for example, like you have users that are collaborating already, they're part of the same company or whatever, and then one of them has the app installed, for example, and then like I want to share a document with them, and then as opposed to like the first time I'm telling them to install the app or something, they just get a notification, and from the notification, they can like be like, oh, okay, that itself leads into the flow of installing the application or whatever they need to
Sounds great.
So like web
sure.
push, yeah.
Web push is definitely on the roadmap for the near future. Any other questions, folks?
Cool. Well, feel free to reach out if you have anything else that pops up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.